the Bemore Instutute Real Estate NQF Level 4 course. This is a course that I'm sure for those who attended the free seminar, it's a very interesting course, and as much as it's rich in real estate NQF Level 4, which is a route that is usually followed by estate agents. But basically, it's a course that anyone who wants to be in this environment as a developer, as any kind of investor, it gives you valuable information for you to understand the real estate environment, and then you can make those amazing decisions that will start making money for you. This qualification basically is divided into 3 learning units with sub-modular divisions based on the exit level outcomes and related assessment criteria. So the 3 learning units is the real estate platform, the real estate legislation, and the real estate practice. So we will be starting off with the real estate platform. These exit level outcomes, the first one is that you should be able to analyze, evaluate, and apply the real estate code of conduct and ethics. And secondly, you should be in a position to demonstrate knowledge of the real estate environment and the various laws, rules, and regulations that impact on real estate function. And thirdly, you will be in a position to perform the actual real estate function. So by the end of this course, this is what you'll be capable of doing. Of course, this has more branches into it, but we will unpack it as we move along. Module 1, these are the various sections that we will be covering. So this module, we will cover it during the course of this week. So in the next 3 days, these are the topics that we will be dealing with. We will be dealing with the introduction to real estate today, the real estate economic environment, and the real estate legal environment. And then the other day, we will be dealing with the Estate Agency Affairs Act and the related legislation, and finish off with the stakeholders and covering the deeds office. What is real estate agency business? The real estate agency business is basically all about helping others buy and sell their properties. The main issue here is about communication. That is the skill that you need to understand, and how you are able to interact with this buyer and the seller to can make or break a deal. You will be required to have extensive knowledge of the local marketplace to enable you to give the client a ballpark figure that is likely to be achieved for the property, whether you are a buyer or whether you are a seller. The property market can prove to be highly unpredictable. Within a short period of 6 months, conditions can change immensely from a buyer's market to a seller's market. We will also unpack those two concepts. What is a buyer's market? What is a seller's market? The real issue is that people will always need a property to live in. So this business can be extremely lucrative for the right person with the excellent skills and the correct work ethic. So what is important is to understand what are the cycles within the real estate environment, what is happening in here, when you should enter and when you should exit. That is what is important. But the reality is that people will always need a property to live in. It's just for you to time your decisions correctly by understanding the environment. The introduction to real estate is what we'll be covering today. The first topic we'll be covering is what is a real estate platform. People buy and sell properties as homes, as investments, and business premises all the time. And the real estate agent sits in the middle of the dynamics created by the buyer-seller relationship. Cultural diversity, what do we mean by that? Culture is often defined as society's way of life and the manner in which its members conduct their day-to-day lives. It includes the knowledge, the beliefs, the arts, the morals, the laws and behaviors that define a group of people, which we normally refer to as a society. South Africa is defined as one of the countries with the most diverse culture. We are called a country with many faces, as you can see on the picture on my right-hand side. That picture, takes you from the different races that we have, the different social experiences that we have, the sports that we engage in, the cultural performances. So that's what makes South Africa the country it is. And it is important for you to understand these factors. And as you will see in the long run, that it will show you how this impacts the real estate environment. Within a society, there are different types of cultures that we experience. So we start off as a unit, as a family. That's where the culture stems from. In a family, there are social influences. What social aspects influence a particular family? What have you inherited, and what are the traditional practices that you, as the parents in this particular household, bring on from your various families, and then create a unique culture for your own small family unit. And there is another level of culture which comes at an international level. South Africa has 11 different languages, and these languages are usually related to particular groups or tribes within the South African nation. We practice different customs. We also practice different religions. South Africa is mostly Christian, but we also have Hinduism. We have Islamic religion. We have your traditional religious practices that we have. And as well, we are influenced by different politics. Hence, our ballot papers have list all those different political parties which bring different dynamics and promise different, give different promises to the nation, and it's entirely up to the individual what they subscribe to and what relate to as an individual. Also, within our culture, then there is another culture, which is the corporate culture. The corporate culture, is the work environment, which is influenced firstly by the economy. So depending on what's happening in the economy, if you want to maximize space, and also, you would like to maximize space, and then you see companies that have concepts like hot sitting, so you don't have so many desks. I think eventually after the lockdown that we are experiencing, some of the practices have proved to be very efficient, and you will see those practices influencing the corporate cultures of some of the organizations in the country. Also, the company founders, the people who found the companies, they come in there with their own visions, and then they decide how their companies will be run, what will be the practices within that particular company and as an environment. Another thing that also influences culture is the host culture. For an example, if you are a company with a head office in Johannesburg, but you have branches in places like KZN. KZN is influenced by mostly Zulu practices as well as Indian practices. So even if you're a Joburg company, but then when you get to that branch or that regional office that is based in KZN, you will need to adopt some of the practices as influenced by the culture in that particular environment. So those things you might have to incorporate them in the company policies, because the staff and the personnel that will be working for the company, need to be accommodated, and the office needs to be as comfortable as it can be. As you are working in real estate with a diversity of people and cultures, it is therefore very important and vital that you be a practitioner of cultural effectiveness. Therefore, that means you must adapt to culture, and that is very important for any business. Any questions? Okay. Let's move on. Another concept in defining your real estate platform are the demographics. What are demographics? What do we mean about that? It is the characteristics and statistics of a human population, especially its size, its growth, density, distribution, and statistic regarding birth, marriage, disease, and death. The factors that we look at when we are trying to define the demographics of an area are things like the area dominance. What is happening in this particular area that you are looking to invest in? So it's important that as an investor or anyone participating in real estate, you understand how in the municipalities, they will have a department called spatial planning. So that you will give you a broader picture. Where are the business nodes in this particular area? Where is the residential space? Where is the industrial area? So if you're looking at commercial properties, it's important to say, okay, this is, I would like to invest in this area. But the people who will be coming into and renting space in my building, is it close enough to residential areas that people are not feeling that then we'll be wasting a lot of time just traveling back and forth from work? So, you need to look at those particular things. And industrial areas, if you invite these businesses, where is the industrial area that probably your businesses will be, if like you're looking at things that have you have a ShopRite or any other shop, you need to locate where are their distribution warehouses, which will probably be in your industrial area, so that it makes it easy for them to get their replenishments and their stock. So it is important to understand what that means and the context or how it will affect your particular business that you would like to be in. What types of houses are in there? Is it mostly estates? Is it cluster homes? Is it flats? Is it townhouse complexes? Or is it just an established suburban? It is also important to understand the historical real estate data. What are the area rates and taxes in there? The home price ranges, the home sizes, the access to various amenities like to the closest highways, to the schools, to the shopping areas. So especially when you look at your area rates and taxes, you must always remember that as long as you have a property, you will be paying area rates and taxes. So if it is so it's a factor that needs to be taken into consideration when someone is buying property, because over and above the bond repayments, that is another fixed cost that it's not fixed, because annually the municipality looks at the rates that they will charge, but it is a cost that will be in there. The cost might not be fixed, but it is a cost that will always be part of an obligation for a buyer. So that is the kind of information that if you are an estate agent or you are an investor, you need to keep in mind, because that's what's going to cost you. Those are the costs that will come to you. And then the other aspect that we need to look at is social influences, proximity to the closest informal settlements, usually that links to the crime statistics of the area, and as we spoke about it as well, the hospitals and any other services that you're looking at. So you might be, it would be useful that you kind of have this information available should your an investor have these questions in place, such that you should be able to advise accurately, because as much as we all would like to close a deal, it's important that that deal doesn't leave a bitter taste on somebody else's mouth, because now this transaction for them, because they didn't know this information, it makes, you know, the experience not as great. And they will share this information with other people, and it might start affecting your business negatively. So it's important that you keep this information in mind. And the population demographics. What is a typical buyer age group? The income, the family setup. So if you buy, for an example, an investment property in an estate, it's important to understand who are the buyers. If you would like to attract people that will come and rent this particular property of yours, it's important to know what's the target market, because you don't want a situation where you buy property in an area where the age group is probably people more elderly people residing in here, and the next thing, someone who comes into your property is more someone with a younger family setup. Because now the fact that there are kids who will be playing outside, riding their bikes, for the other people it might be an irritation. So it's important that this information you keep in hand, and you make sure that you make the correct, you match the people that you bring together, so that no one has a terrible experience in terms of enjoying their investments. Now, any questions? Because now what I will be doing is probably just looking at the group activity that we will need to have. So what we will do, we will pair the attendants, our students, and looking at, because you're working online, so you can coordinate how you will manage this. And then what we'll do, you will do this exercise as a group. So we will allocate the groups, and that information will be shared amongst, I think, on LMS. We will do that on LMS, because that's where you will be submitting your work, whatever work that you've done. This first activity is basically, before I explain this, can I please just get an indication if people did get what the first few slides were about? Yes, okay, do I still have an audience in here? Hello.
I say yes. No, we properly understood what you were going through there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. No questions. Everybody is still fine.
Nomisa, can I just ask something, please? Nomisa?
Yes. Yes.
I see there's a few unknown users here. Is there a possibility that we can put names there so that we can see who they are? At least if we want to do a spot check, then we can know who it is.
Okay. Rena, do you want to handle this? My connection is not, is not giving me access to the people. Can you just go through that particular one? I can't see the list of people. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one user unknown, another one user unknown, another one user unknown. And I suggest that when we're done with this activity, we can actually do it now, because we have to group them. That is the big problem, that we can't see the names. Is that, if we can just group the people properly. And then in the groups, before we actually do the group, if everyone can just tell us what are they currently doing, and a little bit more interactive talk, so that we know who's here.
Can everyone see who my name there?
No, we can't see your name. You come through as an unknown user.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me try and set. Must I do the setup, or must I introduce myself?
Thank you so much. And then there's another one. If everyone can just talk, I'll appreciate that.
Okay. The first First respondent, what is your name so that if it's not, then we can just help in how you can update the information. Can we get your name?
My name is Abongile.
Abongile. Ah, welcome, Abongile. We spoke quite
Thank
a
you
few
very much.
times, actually.
Yes, we did.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Abongile.
Hi,
All
hi,
right.
Bridget,
hi,
Chuck.
hi.
so,
Hello, hello.
sorry,
Irina
allow,
Munasi
yes,
here. I can
yes,
actually see everyone who is here. So
but there's,
Oh, okay.
there is Abongile Jessica or Jasisa. There is Alex Luamba. There is Bridget Mndebele, Dimakazo Bafeti, Edwin Rambahu, Mr. Mabuda, Munasi Matsidi. So I can't pronounce some of these names. Shisimwana, Mr. Moses Ramabulana, Mr. Kani, Numisa Octavia Funi, Patricia, Reina, and Victor Moahi.
okay, but just after Patricia, there's two more that shows unknown at our side.
Okay, I don't know. There's 15 people in total. I can see everyone, even with their names.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
No, I think what we should do then after this session, if you can just send us the list of the individuals, and then we can group and communicate to them how we've grouped them, especially for the activities.
All right, I will do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Numisa, but I think if everyone can just introduce themselves before you do the activities, so that when we talk, we know exactly who do we talk to.
And maybe let's start. Abongile, which area are you currently in? Are you working in which sector? Or are you a student studying in which area?
Okay, hi, Numisa and everyone. Yeah, my name is Abongile. My surname is Chatisa. I know it's a tongue twister for many. But yeah, I am based in Pretoria. I stay in Mamelodi, and I work for the Council for South African Council for the Architectural Profession. My job there, I work as a registration administrator, and I go around the universities and the municipalities and Department of Public Works conducting workshops for architectural practitioners on SICAP policies and processes. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing.
All right. Thank you very much, Abongile, and welcome again.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Can we have another one? Jessica? Hello, Jessica. Can you hear us? Okay, maybe she's got connectivity challenges. Alex? Alex?
Dimakatsu?
All right, who else is available? Dimakatsu, are you available?
Yes, I am available.
Thank you, Dimakatsu. Can you please introduce yourself to us? Thank you.
Okay, my name is Dimakazo Bafeti. There's no much to talk about me. I left my job 2017 to start a business. So yeah, that's how I now met Muma. So my mentors and yeah, and then I'm still learning.
Okay. No, there is a lot to talk about. You know, it's not easy to just make that decision. So congratulations, firstly, for making the decision to, it's not easy. And yeah, okay. All right. Thank you and welcome. So I'm assuming your business is in real estate already. Hello? Yes.
My name is Alex. Yes, I live in Kensington. Hi, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I am new to Teams. I'm trying to get used to it. So, I live in Kensington, and I'm currently working for an events company, but I'm transitioning going into property. I would love property to be my full-time day job, and hence I'm taking this course.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Alex. You're in the right place. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who else do we have? Edwin, are you able to hear us? Okay, maybe Edwin can't connect properly. Matsidiso, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Yes,
Please welcome Matsidiso. Please introduce yourself to us.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Matsidiso Shisingwana. I work for Swings Construction. I'm the managing director there. Our company is 10 years old, and we've decided to now expand our portfolio into property development.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Matsidiso. You're in the right place. Congratulations. Yes, this is a step in the right direction. Thank you and welcome. Who else do we have? I think we have Patricia amongst the names mentioned.
Hello,
Patricia.
Hello.
Hello, Patricia.
Yes, my name is Patricia Chidema. I'm in Johannesburg South. I am a property developer, I may say, because one of our big project will be starting within the next 3 months. So I'm already in property. We are developing a student accommodation in Johannesburg South. We are also working towards development for selling purposes, hence this training. We want to expand our portfolio, not to include rental, but to also develop and sell, and also for your normal selling and splits. And for us to be able to do that, we need to have in our company an accredited official who can assist or who can deal with the property selling or real estate real estate responsibilities. Hence my decision to join the training, and I'm very, very excited for the future, especially because I'm already in the property development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patricia, and welcome. Wishing you all the best. You're in the right place. Who else do we have?
Sorry, Numisa, can I jump in here, please? I just want to mention to Patricia that as a property developer, and this is actually for everyone, is that if you have more than 3 properties that you're renting out, it's countable as a business, and then you have to have a qualified real estate agent managing it for you. So, yes, you have to do it if you are a property developer.
Thank you very much, Rina, for saying that. Yes, POMET anyway, it's already going to take care of that responsibility for the new project. One thing I forgot to mention is that we already have an existing student rental, and we are trying to manage it because it's not very big. But Rina, yes, we're coming to you. You will then guide us.
Okay.
I'm waiting, or we're all waiting.
Patricia. Thank you, Patricia. Who else do we have amongst us? Octavia, can you hear us? Octavia? Okay. I think I had Kani as well.
Hi, evening, everyone. My name is Kani Shisingwana. I'm the CEO of Swings Construction. We're a construction company. We are also looking at going into development. Patricia, as I heard, you are busy developing. If you're looking for a contractor, we're already here. We are already doing one of the projects for MUMA, for one of the clients. Is it Tobin? Is it? I forget the name of this thing. Is it Kayo Properties? That's one of the projects that we are doing. So we also felt it is time now that we also join the course, and we're hoping to learn more from this. Thank you.
Welcome, Kani. Thank you very much. Wishing you all the best. Who else do we have? Victor?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Sure. My name is Victor Moahi. I work at MUMA. I work as an architect and a trainee PM. So yeah, I'm really excited to be part of this course. I'm really, really looking forward to learn more. And I'm also about to start my journey into property development. So through the assistance of the MUMA team, we are currently now on the phases of finalizing funding with various funders. So yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of this team. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Victor. Welcome. We are going places as this group. Who else? I still didn't get Jessica back. I didn't get Edwin. I didn't get Octavia, but I think I did miss. Who else did I miss?
Dr. Mabuda.
Okay. All right. I think probably we're experiencing some connectivity challenges. I just hope at least they can hear us, even if we can't hear them. All right, what we will do, because I think it's important that we understand the various the backgrounds of the different individuals in the team, so that when we do our groupings, we try and have diverse groups. So we have people from different backgrounds within the group, and I think that makes the input quite interesting because people bring experiences. So tomorrow we will definitely share with you the various groups, so we'll get the necessary information and make sure that we share this by our, when we sit for our class at 5. You would, if you didn't get that information before, but at least by the time we have our class at 5, you will know how we've grouped the various individuals within our team. All right. Any other comments or input from anyone before I explain the group activity? Okay, moving right along. The group activity, basically what it's saying is that you need to identify at least 5 to 10 factors to profile each of the following. What do you consider? So you need to define a real estate area. So we've touched on some of those things. Is it a residential area? What is happening in if it's a residential area, what are the price ranges in there, and then you need to find at least 5 to 10 factors how you will define a real estate area that you how do you define a real estate area? And then the area population. What is the population? So the different demographics in this particular area, what is happening in there? What is a typical buyer in this particular area? And then we move on. The next exercise is that then you select an area of operation for your group. So you will have to identify a particular area as a group and say, okay, let's say we identify Pretoria North as an area that we'll be looking at. What is happening in Pretoria North? What is dominantly happening in there? Is it a residential? Is it a commercial? Is it an industrial area? What is the population in this area? What is the typical buyer? So the first one, you just define the various factors and list the various factors that will help you say, this is what, these are the issues, the factors that I look at when I try and understand the real estate area. And then the second one is that you identify a particular area and say, with this particular area in Pretoria North, like I mentioned earlier, it's predominantly a residential area. What is the population in here? So you will need to do some kind of desktop exercise of researching and checking various sites. What is the area population? Who is a typical buyer in that area? So you will need to look at, your property, what is it, property 24 or private property. They sometimes, but those are not the only areas. You could just type up and say, Pretoria North real estate, and you will find different reports from various drafted by different authors and whatever. So we'll do that particular exercise. And then the third step is that you look at other provinces. That is the beauty of the fact that now we have computers and things, are readily available. You profile a particular area, 2 areas in another province. You profile that as well using the factors that we identified in one. And then you also, you compare your own area profile with the additional province and identify the factors that are different. So you will look at the area that you identified within Gauteng. I'm assuming everyone is from Gauteng. And then you compare with another province and then identify what are the different way you see differences in the various factors. Discuss how the profile would influence your approach to the management of a sale. So if you are a real estate agent, how would you approach a sale in that particular area? I'm not sure if this is clear. Any issues for clarity? It's clear enough. But then we'll be available as you tackle. Okay. I see that someone is someone trying to say something?
No,
Hello?
I was saying it looks clear.
It's clear. Okay. But we will be available on LMS because sometimes you really understand the depth when you're actually doing the exercise. So we will be available for any comments on LMS. So you can pose questions and then we can deal with that on that particular platform.
Sorry, Numisa, can I just come in here? The LMS system tomorrow evening, the first thing, Mr. Munase will explain that whole system. So if everybody can be on their computers tomorrow evening so that we can share all the whole program with them.
Mm-hmm. And also make sure you have your usernames and passwords so that you can try and experience it with Mr. Munasi as he is explaining it, because he will show his screen and you also try and emulate what he's doing on your own particular platform. So try before the class. Sorry, excuse me?
Mr. This is Alex speaking. Can you please elaborate on question? Can you please elaborate question 5? I'm still not getting what needs to be done or answered in question 5.
Okay. So with whatever with whatever you are, for an example, let's say you identify this particular area. So what you need to understand, firstly, where will you put your advert? So the management of the entire sale, because as a start, firstly, let's say you firstly as an estate agent, you want to attract, you want to advertise your business so that people can call you and say, you know what, Alex, I would like you to help me sell my property. where will people be able to find you? Firstly, understanding the demographics of this area. Are people in this particular area as sophisticated that, you know, they are accessing their phones or they have access to the internet? Is there a secondary thing that you can look at? There are usual communal newspapers that are dropped or people can find for free at the small shopping complexes, shopping centers. And secondly, if understanding the demographics of your area, where will you advertise this particular property? You know, secondly, how will you arrange the visits? You know, so it's basically going through the process as an estate agent. You know.
Okay,
Not sure
understood.
if you
Thank you
understand
very
what I'm
much.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
loud and clear.
Okay.
Hi, Mr.
All right.
Can I also just come in there just to ensure that I also clearly understand
Okay.
on that point 5? Of course, also profiling an area. I think as we've gone through, it's about collecting the information about the area, and then the information that you are collecting, you are going to use it to plan your sale or how you are going to conduct your marketing the project and marketing the area or the property that you are going to sell. So that information that you are collecting is what's going to help you to plan and how you're going to manage the sale.
Yes. So what you need to like, also besides the actual property, but what is happening around the property? Are they, you know, future developments that are coming? What will you do? How do you collect that information of knowing about the future developments? So those are the things I would like you to know, to express to us. If I am selling a property, what other things can I sell? Can I tell them that there's a new school coming? How do you find information about new schools coming? You know?
Yeah.
So basically is how you go around, because this is the information you're gonna be using to sell the property over and above. So also the things like we've mentioned examples of the property rates and taxes. And if someone comes to you, you should kind of have an idea, even if it's a seller, that you know what, the price you want me to sell your property at is probably outside the range in this area. So those things you guys, before you even sell it, you advise the seller themselves before you even approach a buyer, you know, that seller, I understand you want to sell the property, but this is the selling price. Someone might be asking for an exorbitant price. So how do you collect this information? So those are the steps, the things. These are some of the examples I'm sharing with you. But then you need to, you know, it's about being innovative over and above the information we've given to you. So if you think back, probably when you bought your property, even when you were looking to rent, what were the important things that were important to you to take into consideration? So even if you are someone who wants to rent, but those things that are important to you, then as an estate agent, you internalize them and say, people also are looking at this and this and that. How can I make sure I'm ready to address their concerns or fulfill their expectations? Okay. Are we all happy?
Happy. Thank you.
Yes.
All right then. All right. Let's move on to another section. Another issue that you look at when you're looking at the context of real estate, you will we look at different factors. So this looks at the macro factors, the external factors that influence real estate. So this particular one, we used I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the pestle analysis, a pestle tool. So you look at the political, the legal, the economy, the social, the technological, and the environmental issues. So this one is looking at the macro environment. The previous one was looking at the micro environment, so the smaller component that influence real estate. In this one, we're looking at the bigger boulders that also influence real estate. So when we're talking about politics and the legal, because usually political decisions are actually tabled in Parliament or various legislatures, if it is a provincial, a province-specific piece of legislation. And then what happens is that eventually it needs to be legislated. So the legal aspect will come into that. So one of the key things I think that was big in the previous elections, the elections that we had, it was the issue of the land, the redistribution of land. What does that mean if you are looking at being an investor? Or if you already have land, what does that mean to you? So it defines the real estate environment for the country as well. So those particular reforms, they have an impact. What does that mean? Is they really going to go down? Are people going to sell before, if they are worried that there will be land grabs? So those are some of the issues and the impact it will have on your own, the value of your own property if certain decisions around land are made. The National Credit Act. The National Credit Act is a piece of legislation that was put in there to try and I think it was at a point in time where we felt that South Africans are heavily indebted and trying to manage that people don't get into commitments that they can't really afford and live with. So the National Credit Act, the impact it has had, it was is that it's not as easy to get funding from the banks, because now they need to make sure, as much as for the banks it's nice to issue out loans because for them, business is good. But the reality is that on the other hand, if you can't pay, you can't pay. So as a bond repayer, if your credit record is tarnished, it makes your life very difficult. So the National Credit Act, I think it kind of manages reckless lending and reckless borrowing. And then there is also the Coastal Management Act. We all would like that house by the beach. You wake up, you see the waves. But then on the other hand, the coastal areas, they take care of the fauna and flora. So we can't just willy-nilly just be making developments all over. We need to have a balance. There is coastal life in there. We need to maintain that to have a balance in the universe. So there is a Coastal Management Act that basically regulates and manages that developers don't go overboard with the developments that they can make on the coastal area. The Eskom power cuts, what does that mean? Are we getting, do you really want to invest more? When you invest, are you going to put, solar to try and cap this Eskom? What are the implications for your business? For an example, if you are developing a mall, it would be nice for your tenants to know that at least when there are power cuts, our business won't be disrupted. Then you so as a developer, you must think ahead and say, I still am not comfortable if we are going to win the war on Eskom as yet. So should I invest in power cuts? So that could be a selling point for you. And you say, I'll invest in this particular mall. You don't have to shut your business, but then as much as you might have to pay a slightly higher rental rate compared to other areas, but then it comes with the advantage that business disruptions due to power cuts are a thing of the past for your business. So you look at those particular things. BEE, it's part of those legislation that were introduced to make sure that we correct the wrongs of the past. So we try and make sure everybody is participating in the economy. Then it means that there is a bigger pool of people that you can conduct business with. More people are moving their income brackets because of the BE. Therefore, they're in a position where they will be able to, if, for example, if you are in construction and you're a developer, so those units that you are developing to sell, then there is a bigger pool to attract more buyers. This is all, I think, another aspect that I'm not sure, maybe on the social side, we probably need to include also Corona, because the current environment we are working in, some of the things that I'm talking about, the impact of the COVID-19 has slightly different implications, because with everything could be working well, but then people are still more skeptical that if I have my money, I must save it, because I don't know how long the COVID will be here and how long the economy will be impacted. So, things could be great, but people will still, because of this virus, decide that we are not yet ready to let go of the money that we have until we can get a direction or an indication of of how this is affecting the economy and generally our livelihood as people in the world, because it's not just about South Africa. And then another analysis that we look at, you would look at the economy. So my conversation will be talking, as normal, but then we all at the back of our minds knows that the impact of COVID-19 is affecting the landscape, the microenvironment totally differently. So you look at inflation. How is inflation doing and how is it affecting the property values? How is it affecting my potential buyers? Interest rates. What are the interest rates currently? Do we have an environment that's creating a buyer's market, or is it creating a seller's market? Another impact is another factor we can also looking at is developments. For example, a shopping mall development. A shopping mall for somebody else means something else, and for somebody else means something else. So a shopping mall means convenience. People would like to stay close to a shopping mall. But maybe for a parent with kids, with young kids, who would like the kids to have space to play, rather stay closer to a park than to a shopping mall. And for them, there is less traffic. We have a lot of cases of children being abducted or disappearing. So, as a parent with younger kids, you would like to have a shopping mall, but rather you have a park than have a shopping mall close by and take that trip to the shopping mall, rather spend more time going to the shopping mall, but have your family safer than having, So we look at things differently, but those are the things that you need to understand and know they affect people differently. And then the social aspect, crime is an important, I think, before anything else, before you even look at whatever, you just want to know what are the crime statistics in this area before you think about all the other things, the shopping mall and whatever, but crime becomes important. traffic, are the traffic congestions, what is happening, or if there are traffic congestions, can you avoid it by probably looking at public transportation? Is there a route for the Gautrain buses or a Gautrain in my route? The Ria Vaya buses, if you're in the Gauteng, in the Joburg side of things. Is it a route for taxis, or do I need to walk, or this route is proper? So those are the things you take into consideration. And then I think one of the spin-off that came from crime was the increase in estate living, because gated, these communities where we had complexes in the past, it was mostly for flats and townhouses, but not like 4 or 5 bedroom homes or 6 bedroom homes. But now I think running away from crime, one of the spin-offs have been an increase in estate living. So it's for you to understand what is the trend, what is happening in this particular area, because in some areas there is an increase in estate living, but in some areas the flats are doing fine because it's closer to universities and all that stuff. So flats or townhouses are thing, because the flats can be used as student accommodation, but not so much as, so you find that in, for example, around Tekis, a lot of people, and I think also around the former UJ, what you used to call UJ, a lot of people left their homes, which ended up being used as student accommodation, and then they went further out of the city or further away from the university. So it's important to also understand what is happening in the area in that context. So you get into the business of what is moving at that particular point in time in that particular area. And also another thing which has proven to be very good, we are all sitting here without necessarily being close to each other. So we're doing proper social distancing, and the main reason this is happening is because of technology. So you can conduct, so e-commerce and online property marketing is enabled by the technology that we have. So people don't necessarily have to meet, but someone that can or do based on online property marketing, you can look at the pictures, and then if you like a property, you can then just choose that particular 2 or 3 properties instead of visiting 10 properties, but you can choose the particular ones that you liked purely based on the fact that you could view the property online. You could even look at the pictures, and sometimes there are other people also do videos. So it makes business doesn't stop. It continues, and you can transact online. I mean, in most cases, transactions can be done over an email. You scan documents, you sign them. A transaction is also that those kind of transactions are considered legal and legally binding. And then another factor that is coming up is green buildings. Green buildings, is something, I mean, what can I say? The universe is affected by global warming. We can see the changes in the climate changes that we're experiencing, having, floodings, in extreme rains in winter, when those things we were not used to in the past. So everybody is trying to make their contribution. I mean, they're saying the Antarctic is melting. So you look at all those things. Are we going to be able to survive? Are we ready to live in an environment where things have changed so drastically? So everybody in the sector, so even the car manufacturers are doing their bit. So the real estate environment as well needs to make its contribution in dealing with the environmental issues that are killing our planet. So what does that mean? As developers or as real estate practitioners, green buildings, it's something that hasn't taken up, but it's something that is important. That if you are creating all this wealth, we are sitting here wanting to be property developers so that we can create generational wealth. But will there be a generation to enjoy the wealth that we're creating if we don't make our bit in contributing to saving the planet? So green buildings, if you can, please, you look at that. It's it's rather an expensive exercise, but the benefits come in there. Installing those solar panels becomes slightly expensive, but then you enjoy the benefits when it comes to the consumption. You know, you don't depend on municipal electricity or Eskom electricity. So it's also for your convenience in as far as Eskom is concerned, but also you save money in the long run on how you run your buildings. So these are some of the things that we need to take into consideration when we actually do this. And for example, in commercial buildings, there are studies that are done which indicate that, you know, with when buildings are cooler, built in a particular way, the employees prove to be more productive than when they are in certain buildings. So it's important, and those are the selling points you can have when you want to probably get a company to come and rent space in your commercial building. You know, that this is what we've installed. The air circulation is excellent, so people don't get exposed, don't get fatigue easily because we've installed this, we've done this. So, you know, these are the things we need to take into consideration. I think every investment, you always have to do a cost-benefit analysis, not over-design or over-invest, but just strike a proper balance such that your business is not crippled with some of the decisions. But what is important is to take everything into consideration. I've said a mouthful. I'm definitely sure there are inputs, from our construction companies, our architects, when you design your buildings. I'm not sure if we have anyone from, the space of the municipal space, how they take these particular things into consideration when they're looking, for example, your traffic and your transport, traffic design. All these things that I've spoken about. Anyone from the financial services sector or your experiences, you don't have to be working in there, but can we share, how any of these concepts, how you've experienced them in your own life or in your private life or in business or, so please, can I have some input? Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Thank you very much for this. I'm just wondering.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering. I understand that we as the country, we do have the National Environmental Management Act. I, however, see there under the first column under politics and legal, we also have the Coastal Management Act. So now I'm just wondering what could have necessitated the development of the Coastal Management Act if we already have the National Environmental Management Act. Was there a specific need for that specific focus on the Coastal Management Act? Could it not be covered under the Environmental Management Act?
Can I help, Nomisa?
Yeah, sure.
The Environmental Management Act is that if a property is bigger than 1 hectare and you want to do a development, then there must be an environmental impact study, and that also includes on your coastal properties. And the reason for that is more to say that the environmental, is there indigenous trees or like for Incase, I had a case once on one of the developments that I've sold in Olifantsfontein. If you drive with Olifantsfontein and that big hotel, white hotel on the right-hand side, what is the name of that hotel? But just after that hotel, you will see there's no proper developments going up there. And there's on one area, there's a little water reeds and stuff. It's not even a well or nothing. And there's a little red frog living there 1 week, a whole year. And they couldn't do the development there. And that is basically to save the environment that they're doing that. But on your coastal one is now you go back to say that if you are doing a development on the beach, for Incase, how far from the water can you actually develop? And not, it is basically the same, but there it includes the beach and the water, the sea as well.
Okay. All right. No, thank you very much, Irina.
Is it? Did I answer everything then?
Yes. I think you've answered my question, taking into consideration that the Coastal Management Act take into consideration the waters of sea, because I also have a little bit of understanding that the laws of the ground are a bit different with the laws of the oceans or of the seas. So I think I understand that a bit.
Yeah, also I can just add in there, even on an ordinary development, people can always say it's so easy that you can drill boreholes and do the development. But there's even a law onto that where you can actually only use 23% of the underground water for the actual development.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a development next to Hartbeespoort Dam. As you pass the southern side of the dam, and there they've sold, I was actually part of the sales, can you believe it? We've sold a lot of stands and only on 23% can they build. And that's bad because you bought a stand thinking you're going to build a prop house on it and you cannot build because there's not enough water.
Yeah. All right. Great.
Yes, because the Integrated Coastal Management Act is part of is linked to the National Environmental Act. So it was just to zone in because now it talks specifically to the coastal issues, as Rina was saying, how far from the beach can you go? And there are also obligations, that each country has to have. So with that Integrated Coastal Management Act, you then list exactly, or you define exactly how South Africa is contributing in specifically preserving the coasts, the coastal area and the marine life.
Okay. Thank you very much for the information.
All right, you're welcome. Any other input? Edwin. Is Edwin still with us? Okay. All right. Any other? Victor, would you like to talk to us maybe on how, as architects, you approach some of these, especially probably the environmental issues? What do you take into consideration?
Yeah, just to err on that, it's quite important to just verify or check if the property that one is interested in buying, it's within the correct areas and it's in alignment with environmental laws before one can just proceed in purchasing that property, because we had an issue not so long ago with a property in Winchester Hills. We struggled to get an approval from City Parks, and reason being was that a part of the stand area was like had the biodiversity encroaching into the stand area. So now, because of that, we had issues getting approval, because they were like, we are not allowed to make any developments within that area. So we had to make many amendments in terms of making sure that we comply in terms of parking, we comply in terms of design according to environmental impact department, in order for us to get the overall approval. So it's not as easy as it is with an area that doesn't fall under a certain biodiversity area. So one has to just make sure before purchasing and just check if whatever land that you're buying that falls or doesn't fall under the biodiversity area.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Misa, can I just say something here? Sorry. Thank you, Victor. And I think we can hear from what Victor said is that us as an estate agent must make sure that when we canvass a property, that it covers everything here, like what Victor mentioned, before we sell that property onto a client.
Thank you, Rina. Any other input or comments or questions?
Yeah, question there. Oh, sorry.
Okay, who am I talking to?
Kabelo here.
Oh, yes, Kabelo.
So, Rina, what you just said right now, to say as estate agents, we must make sure that whatever area we are canvassing meets all requirements and everything like that, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
There was an incident where now we bought property. That property was zoned and everything, and the idea was to do like a stack-up development, and it was canvassed as such, at least in person, not necessarily in writing, 3 months later, everything is transferred, start knocking doors for approval, then the municipality says there's not enough water, so as such, the development cannot continue, So in such instances, how can estate agents ensure that this does not happen?
Okay. The first thing, nobody will tell you that out loud, but if there was an estate agent involved, this will count as you get latent and patent defects. And this will then count as a patent defect, something that you didn't see, nobody told you about it. And because I know exactly what you're talking about, there's not enough documentation for you couldn't verify that case. And you can actually, within 2 years of the transfer, cancel that deal because of that patent defect. And especially if you can prove in a way that the seller was supposed to know about that. That is why we will show you, even if you are registered with an estate agency company, we will share with you a list of how you must list a property as an estate agent to cover yourself up. Because if you can cancel that transaction, that agent must pay back their commission. So it's a very big thing. So it is very important that if you trade as an estate agent, that you make 110% sure whatever you put on the table is still in place and relevant. But in your case, that property we will not easily could cancel that deal, because by law the municipality must give you the water. It is their problem, not your problem, because it has already been zoned. There's already been service agreements, although we cannot get out of those agreements. There's already agreements in place, otherwise you could not get the zoning. It's already been promulgated.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Can I just quickly add something? Yeah. So I think to avoid having such experiences, it would be best, before purchasing that land as well, it would be best if maybe the estate agent can at least engage with engineers, both electrical and civil, just for confirmation of bulk services. So we just need to get that confirmation in writing from municipality before any further processes, so that they can confirm that yes, there is sufficient bulk services. So these bulk services are in alignment with what the zoning is saying. So if you were to put 50 units, there will be sufficient services to accommodate those 50 units. So I think the estate agent has to have this information before we can even proceed with the overall sale.
I 100% agree, Victor.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's important to share.
Raise up my hand.
Moses?
All right.
Can I also raise my hand, please?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
I think Mr. Stolle is looking for who do I sue in a situation like that. But I think in my little experience, the way that these things change, they change so fast that if you are not really, what's the right word, in touch with what's happening, you might just get surprised. And we might be mentioning issues that are happening sporadically in different projects. But the reality is, you can buy a property now which was zoned fully, and it was on the premise that we have enough capacity. And someone else come and do a development, and you find that that capacity is gone, particularly with regard to issues of your bulk services. Bulk services refers to your stormwater, roads, water, and electricity, and sewer. So there is no politician who can even come and intervene. If Eskom say we don't have enough electricity, you are done. And then it's unfortunate as well with regard to the project. Yeah, Mr. Stolle. I was involved in the project as well. And as the lead consultant, it's like we're not ready for that. Because as Rina is saying, when you have the zoning certificate, it's a certificate that says by law, the municipality is obliged to give you the water that you need. Now, when the municipality tell you, listen, we don't have that water and there's nothing we can do. And literally what that means is there's no one that you would even be able to talk to. You can sue the municipality for damage, but it's one of those really very unfortunate circumstances that one would even ask, when was the approval done? Some of those you find that the approval is as recent as the last 12 months. But yet they say, hey, we ran out of water capacity. Whether someone else came up with a development after that, and in Cullinan, as it is now, from what we hear, for instance, as an example, they are talking about getting a pipe that will take water from Reedflay Dam to Cullinan. Now, you are sure that's not something that would happen, say, in the next 12 months. I thought I should just share that to say, to a larger extent, we can do all the homeworks and all of that, and we are experiencing some of these things on the go. We learn sometimes very painful, expensive lessons. And at best, I think it's really best to say, ask all the questions. Now we even advise that when you are signing an offer to purchase, ask for at least the first 30 days just to do your own due diligence before you finalize. I'm not talking about buying a building that is already existing. I'm saying when you want to buy land, virgin land that has not been developed, they will tell you all the nice things and you find that it just drags and you have already invested some money. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That was interesting conversation. And I think the reality, they say the taste is in the eating. Taste of the pudding is in the eating. We will experience, you have these, our knowledge is based on the experiences that we have gone through. And, that is the beauty of having this platform where we have a diverse group of people that come from different backgrounds and you share this information. So we can go through what's in the textbook, but one of the richest conversations are based on the experiences that we have gone through. So please, I know it's the first day, but we should continuously engage and we share our experiences because it's something it's not in a book because you experienced it probably 3 months ago, but it's something that the next person needs to know about and it helps their decision. So I think that is the beauty of the Bemore Institute, is bringing great minds together. Thank you, everyone. Any more inputs?
Patu's hand is up.
Okay. That's me, Patu Rina.
Dan,
I don't know how it happened, but it seems now I'm logged in as Patu, so I didn't want to make noise. So that's me.
Okay, but then your hand is raised. Patricia.
Do I need?
Thank you.
Okay. It was before.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Any more hands? Okay, no problem. Thank you, everyone, for your inputs and your contributions.
My hand is up.
Patricia.
Hello.
Hi, Patricia. Please go ahead.
From what Danny just said, I'm really concerned now. If the only thing we can do is to sue for damages in case where we bought virgin land and back services cannot be provided. Before zoning is approved, you pay for bulk services. So if they cannot provide you with bulk services and there's nothing you can do to continue with the development, can you then request for all the bulk services, because it's a huge amount that you pay for that zoning to finally be approved? What do we do with the contributions?
Okay, when you pay for the contributions, at that time, it is just before promulgation. Then you must first sign the bulk service agreements, and you must make sure that when you buy the property at that time that you also get the bulk service agreements, because I've spoken to a lawyer. The municipality the moment they sign that agreement with you, they are obliged to give you that services. They have to book it out for you, and they are not allowed to book other developments. They can approve it. Approval is before promulgation. That's still some way ago to do the development. So we will work through. It is not part of this course, but because you are mostly developers in here as well, we will work through on one session on the whole development process. I think it will make it much easier and understandable then. Is that fine, Patricia?
That would be great, really. That will really be great, especially for us who really wants to be developers. There's quite a lot of questions we've got regarding zoning and the process. in the the zoning process and all those back service agreements that we normally get from real estate agents when you want to buy a virgin land. Because sometimes you are presented with that document only to find out it actually lapsed because for 5 years you did not develop, but they still present it to you as a current document, and you find yourself at a situation where you have bought this land, but the land, the zoning has already lapsed, something like that. So I nearly got caught up in such a situation, but luckily I did my due diligence and realized this zoning has already, the township establishment had already lapsed. Yeah, no, we will do the process. Yeah, Dandy, sorry.
Rina, perhaps as a way forward on this matter, let's organize that one of the sessions, one of these days. Let's get one of our affiliate town planners to just talk into these issues, and just so that we can have a nice broad understanding of the town planning scheme and the different value systems in within that process. So I think we will need to just invite one of the town planners, and they should be able to give us, I think, just dedicating to just issues of understanding land readiness issues, because that, I know even the people who say we know, they still so many things that happen.
Okay, that's a good idea. We'll do it. We'll arrange it.
All right.
Let's see, Rina, if we can try and slot it in on Thursday. I know it's short notice, but if not, then next week, because the work that we'll be doing in the next 2 weeks still covers the stuff that we're talking about.
Okay. We will do. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Any more questions?
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions. Let's move on to our next session. So as we were saying, that what is important is making sure as an estate agent or as a property developer, just as we've just had a discussion now, you have this information. So basically knowing the sources of economic information. So you need to keep abreast with economic trends, developments, and changes in the legal framework to make sure that you are able to advise clients and act within the law. So, the banks, the various banks have sections that provide information on this. So I think even online, you can get this various information that you're looking for. So how long a property stays on the market. Currently, there are already articles about what does the current COVID-19 situation mean for real estate. Because I think what is happening now, we can see at the malls that there are many people who are no longer able. So you have a lot of shops that have to let signs. So what that means is that other people are shutting down their business, but not everyone is shutting down. Others are choosing to do their business from home and probably venture into online trading, selling whatever they have online. So what does that mean? These people might not have the space. So a lucrative place that you can look at is things like warehousing, because where are people now? You don't have a shop, you are working from your home and you don't have enough space to keep everything that you are able. So warehousing is a prospect that people could start looking at to try and maximize an opportunity during the times that we find ourselves in. For example, the Reserve Bank as well is another place that shows you, what's happening in the market, especially things like your interest rates. What does that mean? How does that affect your mortgages? As you can see on the graph in there, it shows the relationship between the mortgage advances and interest rates. So with your so it shows that when there is a lot of mortgages out there, it means that the interest rates, so the mortgage rate, which is the interest rates and the advances themselves. So when the interest rates go up at the beginning, it means that there are less mortgages that are awarded. So the blue line, which are the mortgages awarded, always follows after what happens in the interest rates. So when the interest rates go down, then you can see the blue line is increasing, because now affordability is improving because the interest rates have gone down. And then on the other side, in the different, you could also visit the various estate agents' websites. They usually have reports in there in terms of whatever is happening in the market. So just look at the big estate agents, and POMAT is is following shortly. We're busy also with our own website. So you will find this on our website as well, to provide this information just as a value add. So it's not just about us wanting to make a commission, but also to make sure that people make good investment decisions. We don't want unhappy clients as POMAT. So these are some of so even newspapers, there's not a lot of newspapers circulation around. If you can go to News 24, you find that a lot of stories now you need to subscribe whereas in the past there was a lot that you got for free. So, but to try and explore, there is information readily available out there on the net that can make sure that you are properly equipped with what is what is happening in the real estate industry. Any comments or questions? All right. Now we're going to look at activities, some of the activities that we have that will assist us in trying to understand. So we'll look at, it's a group activity. So we'll just go through this particular one. There are about, I think, 6 articles that we have or comments. So, for example, Gareth Stokes, regardless of which house price index we use to assess the health of South Africa's residential property market, we always draw the same conclusion: house prices are in real decline. So, just if you can bear with me in here. So, the activity, you need to look at the various comments made by the prominent experts in real estate above and discuss the following questions. From the extracts, what's some of the most prominent influences on real estate at the moment? You provide a summary of the effect that each of the factors identified have on the property market. Do you think the property market is currently in an upward or downward trend? So that's what we need to do. From the articles, you identify the prominent influences that are highlighted by the expert and what effect will this factor have on the property market. And then we'll discuss briefly what do we think is the market an upward trend or a downward trend. So let's look at Gareth Stokes. Gareth Stokes says that regardless of which house price index we use to assess the health of South Africa's residential property market, we always draw the same conclusion: house prices are in real decline. Any takers on that? I guess it's coming out that what's happening, the house prices are in real decline. But what we would like to find out then, what is the impact on the property market? Anyone wants to take a jab on that? Abongile? Is Abongile still with us?
Hello.
Okay.
Yes, I'm still hearing me, sir.
Okay, all right. So Gareth Stokes says that basically what he's saying is that house prices are in real decline. So what do you think the impact is on the property market?
If the house prices are in decline, I think that would mean it's just that I'm not sure with the terms, but there will be more of houses to be sold. So there will be more of houses to be sold. I remember Mr. Ramabulana giving us those terms where the difference between the more of properties to be sold and also versus the many buyers that are available. So I think with the price trends going down, that might trigger a new group of people venturing into buying the houses due to the affordability.
Yes, yeah, affordability improves, and also those people who have money to spend are like, oh, okay, I'm getting this property, especially property investors are like, I'm getting this property at a bargain. So you are actually correct. Then there is more interest on the buyers that they would like to buy the property. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Erwin Road. If I had to sum it up with a single word, I'd say affordability. Pressure on affordability has been brought about by three things. The first one is that prices are very high in real terms. The second is the impact of high interest rates. And the third is high inflation. Of course, the last two are linked, high inflation and high interest rates. Anyone who would like to try and discuss the factors that are being highlighted in here and what the impact is? Dimakatso? Is Dimakatso still with us?
Hey, I think people are having supper.
Okay. So, who is with us?
But maybe just to come through as we await for Dimakatso. She's probably having dessert now.
Okay.
It's actually the opposite in that right now, if you look at what's happening, the interest rates are at their all-time low and inflation is still behaving. So it's really the opposite of what the statement is saying. Affordability, of course, there might just be issues of more people losing their jobs because of economic impact. But if there's ever been the right time for people to buy property, now is the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's true. Okay, so yeah, all right. So I think at the point in time, I think when Erwin was writing, I think the prices were very high. So people were struggling to actually get in the market and buy these properties. But currently, definitely, if you have money and loads of it, you go and actually buy. I think what we can do, especially the other aspect, the high interest rates and high inflation, we'll talk in more detail when we talk about the economic concepts and explain exactly how it works. But is there anyone else who would like to probably from your own experiences or your understanding of how the interest rates and the inflation affected the property market? Octavia, is Octavia still with us?
I'm still here, but I was just shy to talk. Numisa?
No. Yes.
Me.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes. I wanted to ask something. If they say it's the opposite of what Erwin was saying, is it the buyer's market or the seller's market?
Currently,
on the statement.
Yeah, the prices have gone down currently, so it's a buyer's market. It's just that, we don't have many people who are willing. I think what Danny was saying was that a lot of people are losing their jobs. So people are, and the few ones that have money are holding on to the money purely because of the uncertainty of the impact of COVID. But it is a buyer's market, so it's correct. It's just that it's not, the uptake is not as great as if things are normal. It's because of this anomaly that is out there. So, people are holding on to their money because they don't know how long this is going to last and whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
No, it does.
Yes. So we are definitely in a buyer's market. Prices are really nice for buyers. It's a nightmare for sellers, but for buyers, It's
and you can even negotiate the price. Maybe.
Excuse me?
I'm saying that you can even negotiate the price. Say maybe if the house says 1 million or 1 million, and then you can negotiate maybe for 900 or 950.
Yes, especially exactly because not many people there are not many buyers out there who are prepared to make these investments. So you can take if you're that buyer, then you can push the price whatever further down. And also the fact that they are so you can put the figure. And then would you probably want to have something to say on the inflation and interest rates?
Not really.
Okay, it's fine. We'll discuss it later. Anyone else? Okay. And then let's take we'll just do this last one in this batch, and then the rest is you will do it on your own. John Lewis, public enemy number one is the combination of inflation and interest rates. The reason I refer to a combination of inflation and interest rate is that the Reserve Bank has adopted an inflation targeting policy. Apart from inflation's indirect impact via its impact on interest rate, there is also its direct impact on essential items such as food and petrol. I think I should just stop in there and probably wait for us to get to the concepts, the economic concepts, because this is whatever. Okay, let me just finish it up and then we see if anyone would like to attempt to make their contribution. Especially at the lower end of the market, you see surging inflation eating into disposable income. In my view, immigration is one of the major sentiments factors driving house prices lower. I think it's safe to say we are experiencing an immigration surge in the country at the moment. It dampens demand for residential property, especially in the high end of the market. Negative sentiment is that part due to the minority groups post-Polokwane jitters, apprehension about the pending change of leadership, Eskom's mismanagement of power process in January 2008, and the Zimbabwe crisis. So these are the factors contributing to the negative sentiments. Immigration has become quite an important factor, though not quite as important as interest rates. When all is said and done, we'll have between 10% and 12% price deflation. We'll probably reach the worst year-on-year price deflation around the end of 2008 or early 2009. I think the learner material, as much as it was looking at those particular years, but I think what we could do is to just look at what is contributing to the negative sentiments at this point in time, in our country. Eskom is still there. We can look at the impact of COVID-19 in there. I think the Zimbabwe crisis has also come back onto the table. What does the current unrest happening in Zimbabwe mean for us, So those are some of the examples that you can take into consideration when you're actually trying to look at this. Immigration, not as much, because I think is not as rife as it was during the era of 2008, 2009. So basically, anyone who'd like to look at, make an attempt to have a look at this, because some of the issues highlighted here by John Laws are still very much applicable in our current environment.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Let me say that if you could just take out the years from that statement, the statement remains factual. It's what we are experiencing today. Even immigration as well. Maybe not as much as it happened in 2008, but even now, because people are losing jobs, and as the result, it doesn't matter where they find work. They are just moving, especially from the rural areas, where situations are really dire. So it's still very much applicable in our times now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, in-migration is one of the movement from rural to semi-urban and urban areas. It's a thing. Hello.
Hi, Numisa.
Yes, Cindy.
Numisa.
Hello.
In this context, emigration, are they not referring to people leaving South Africa?
Yes. Not necessarily like the cross-provincial, or not provincial, but moving from whatever. Moving from rural to, but generally just leaving the country, because I think that was the time post Polokwane, and people were not really comfortable with the changes that Polokwane was promising. Because remember, Polokwane happened in the December, I think. So, so it was, and I think it did happen a lot during that time.
Yeah,
but
I think that's what they're referring to.
Sorry?
I think this is what this article is talking about, because remember the idea of emigration. It would talk to flight of money. People who can afford to emigrate are people who really have money. So it's the flight of money from the economic discourse in the country. In contrast to the immigration that we have seen, because if you think about the immigration of rural areas or people from across borders, that is still in the increase. What that does as well in the opposite is that it burdens the economy. One of the issues of xenophobic attacks that have happened in this country, it's people in the grassroots believing that foreigners and our neighbors in our neighboring countries are either taking our jobs or what's the word? Increasing the urban sprawl, for instance. So if one looks at this statement, migration inside the country from rural to cities, Rina is just, immigration is from South Africa. From South Africa, Rina.
I catch you.
No.
Can I quickly have migration? It's not from immigration is when you want to change citizenship from country to country. But migration is you move from south to east or north to south. Because
this one says immigration, Rina.
Yeah, I know, but you talk about what you said about the areas from rural to town is migration.
No, I was actually correcting the previous speakers. Immigration is people leaving the country.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Daddy.
So yeah, in this context is people that were leaving the country. So looking at what was the impact on real estate in that context. And I think when that happens, it's usually someone has already found a job in London. It kind of makes the property a bargain because now they are kind of a distressed seller that needs to just leave the country. So it creates an opportunity, to negotiate the prices and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think at the situation we find ourselves in, anyone is looking at going anywhere. I think all over the world, everybody is just sitting and waiting to see, what is happening.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And I think it's better to. Yes, Danny?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think it's better to be scared and scared by the COVID at home, close to your family and whatever, than to be all alone out there and you don't know what's waiting for you.
Yeah. You see, I had a very interesting meeting on Friday last week with a deal maker from FNB, and he was saying that firstly, we have not seen the effect of the lockdown as it is here in this country. We have not, because people were given the 3 months break. It's only now that we are going to start really experiencing an oversupply of property. That might be the issues that might start to trigger issues. Right now, they've been containing the interest rates, bringing them as low as possible. But I think on the one hand, there is a real issue of people starting to lose their jobs. And from the banking point of view as well, he was saying that they have not experienced anything like this, at least in the recent past. So even if they say they are going to foreclose one's bond, for instance, liquidate, or what do we call that thing, take back their property, who are they going to sell it to? So they would rather assist the guys to keep their properties, but that still will not help in the long run. It might help people who are now getting 25% less than what they were getting in terms of their income. It might help people who still have some sort of work, but someone who just lost their job, it still won't help. So the more people without money or when there's not enough money circulating, it usually triggers your inflation, and that might trigger upward interest rates. The reason why the interest rates have been dropped now, it's so that at least the inflation could still be contained to a certain extent, but they can only do that much. I don't think we have seen the real effect of what has happened in this country and across the globe in the last 6 months. But yeah, I'm not an economist after all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think also the food prices have gone up during this lockdown period. So we should be looking at some kind that should be contributing to the inflation factor as well,
Yes.
The cost of goods, yeah. So, I mean, the cost of, food and, if anything, your medical supplies, the prices have definitely gone up. So, yeah, so I tend to agree with you that we're still going to see a lot that's going to happen. But anyway. So, so basically that's what this is talking about, like the various negative sentiments that are out there in the country and what that means for residential property. And it's not as straightforward as you're saying, Dandy, that, when there is a flood of property in the market, but in this particular case, it's not necessarily up for grabs. So it's a very peculiar economic environment that we are in. It's not the normal that we are used to. I guess they call it the new normal. But I think it's interesting times that we find ourselves in, and also I think for someone to be taking this course at this particular time, it's very interesting. It's food for thought. All right. So this is all I'll be covering today as far as activity 3 is concerned. There are a couple of other, extracts. So, this is another one So as I've read earlier, you just need to highlight what are the issues coming from each of these experts' opinions, and then let us know what you understand it to, how it's supposed to, the effect it has on the property market. And if you think currently we have an upward or downward trend. So I think we'll try and answer the questions as close as possible to the current environment that we are in, not just what is supposed to happen, but exactly what is currently happening now. So it calls for some kind of research as well from the learners to understand exactly at this point in time, how are these things affecting the property market. Right, okay. And then this, okay, is there a question?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. So those are the ones we're highlighting, mostly the economic side of things. And the next one, we also looking at other factors, I think, as some of the issues that we highlighted when we're doing looking at the pestle analysis. For example, this is an article. So what we need to do in here is that as a group, we need the articles below show the influence of external factors on real estate. Read through the article carefully and identify the influence that this may have on real estate in your area and in South Africa as a whole. So this particular one is property entering green era 2. Astute property developers, investors, and entrepreneurs will no doubt already be aware of the next big era in the property, namely the profound impact that green building practices are going to have on the industry in the foreseeable future. Building design is undergoing transformation, moving away from work environments that are closed off from the outside world towards places of business designed to be at one with the natural surroundings. For instance, the power draining and air conditioners so often found in high-rise buildings and the shimmering glass towers that trap heat are said to become a thing of the past as landlords and tenants demand real estate more reliant on renewable energy and reusable materials. The South African real estate industry has only recently begun adopting green building standards, but the movement is expected to gain momentum. The Green Star rating system is currently being introduced, and although the ratings are not compulsory, pressure is anticipated to come from corporates, particularly those with international shareholders who want to be seen as socially and environmentally responsible. So, what we need to look at from this particular article, I think what is coming out is the green building phenomena that is being adopted. What do you think how is this going to influence real estate in your area? How is that going? So if people are going towards this phenomena, how is that going to affect the current real estate environment as we know it and as we have it currently? Because we still have a lot of buildings that are not necessarily green compliant. What does that mean? What does it mean for those buildings? What does it mean, for if you are a corporate, for an example, or a tenant? What are you looking for and from your landlord, and how are your demands going to affect the real estate market? Do we have any takers on this one? I think earlier on, Victor did talk to some aspects of the green buildings, what it means from architects' point of view. Are the architectural firms ready for this? Are they advising their clients towards this? Can you share your experiences with your clients? I know the only architects I have here is Victor and Abongile, other than the MUMA guys. Would you like to share how it has affected your side of the business? Anyone?
Maybe Mr. Abongile. Maybe Mr. Awangile should tell us more because he represents SACAP. So I actually have to be very careful what I say. Where is Mr. Awangile? Is he here?
Yes, I'm here.
This man is the man who holds architects accountable. So I need to be very careful what I say here. Victor, you have the right to remain silent. Awangile is here and is listening to all the...
No, with me, I am just sitting here and I'm waiting for the architect to tell us how do they go about this and how are they being compliant within the architectural regulations while, of course, advancing into green building. But the statement there, the closing sentence there on the statements, which says it's not the green star rating system is currently being introduced, and although the ratings are not compulsory, pressure is anticipated to come from corporates, particularly those with international shares, as because they want to be seen as compliant and responsible. I agree more with that statement that in the near future is going to really be enforced, because this is exactly what we are experiencing as the regulatory body with the building inspectors and the interior designers. Interior designers, they don't have their own regulatory body. And also the building inspectors, they were not regulated. So now amongst themselves, they or maybe with the corporate pressure as well, they then came to suck up and wanted to be recognized as a professional body and also to be given that certification to say we are professionals. Because the big question that has always been posed was that how do you have people that are not really certified as architectural practitioners, but they inspect the architectural work and they have the credibility or the power to approve or disapprove the work, but they are not registered with a regulatory body. As a result, they are now being registered with SICAP. So I agree more with that statement that in the near future, Mr. Matamela, you will be forced to comply with the green building regulations.
Interesting.
So
if I could also come in there.
Okay. Yes, you may come in.
From the way I see it and from what I've been exposed to, with going green, as much as a lot of people might want to go that way, it becomes a little bit of a challenge, especially when you're doing these developments. And you find that you still have to work within a particular bracket so that you can still get financing. So now it becomes a problem to have that balance where you can produce a project that is affordable and that is a project that is going to be viable to the financer, and at the same time still work within the regulations of trying to go green. But again, I think it could be another interesting part where architects or any engineers that are involved in a particular project to come up with solutions or inventions which are cheaper and affordable in directing developments to going green. Because anything that you look at right now, which is green, it is very expensive, and it makes it very difficult for anybody who wants to do business at the end of the day to go that direction. Therefore, you are forced to even still go with these other ways, which are the normal and which are all of them against what is required in terms of going green. So I think architects as well have a big role to play in terms of coming up with different solutions and ways of doing this affordable, which is the most biggest problem. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe just to add on there, Mr. Kani is raising a very interesting point. The notion of going green, everyone wants to do it. In almost every single development that we do or propose, the first thing that we do is to say we're going to use this kind of technology. We're going to optimize on the sun until you find that you have a piece of land which is right in the middle of Pretoria Central, and it's the leftover space surrounded by 20-story building, and your zoning says you can only put 18 stories. So the issue of getting enough light, it's now taken. But if you look at it, the whole idea of greening and greening of buildings, it's an idea that has been pushed or persuaded from developed countries, mainly because they are the biggest producers of fossil, what do you call carbon emission. Here in our developing countries like South Africa and the rest of Africa, for instance, we underestimate the technology that the developed countries now wants to go back to as either primitive and all of that. But if you think about it, the houses most of us grew up with in that are made out of mud, for instance, or earth. You go into that house, whether it's winter or summer, it's the temperature, it's cool. It's like between 17 to 22 degrees. Your thatch roofs, of course, thatch now, they pose the risk of flexibility as a material and all of that. So it's really an issue that is driven from the elite to answer issue of global warming. On the one hand, already here in the last 10 years in the agricultural space, you can't submit a project right now at municipality without an energy efficient assessment. So it's something that has already started, but some of those are not very difficult or impossible things. All they're saying is you can't go and put your bathrooms north facing and put your living rooms south facing, because you're going to need heaters. So it's simple things like those, for instance, to say, could we consider using alternative building technology? We are doing a building in town in the city center of Pretoria. It's an 8-story building. We are using hydroform bricks. Now, hydroform bricks, it's earth. Earth is the oldest building technology and known to man. So you use only about 10% dry stack. You just pack bricks like this, interlocking. I'm hoping when we launch, probably in November, we will be able to invite all of you guys to come and see. It's something that when we were busy planning, we even wanted to use the rubble and make the bricks on site. But we still have limitations. The limitations are space. How do you make, how do you get all the machinery on site? We had to produce our bricks, for instance, in Hammanskraal, and they get transported. By the time you do that, it ends up becoming a little more expensive. But those are some of the green factors that, as I said, they are not so far-fetched. To a larger extent, they're not asking for impossible things. However, the green standard, which is more of a competitive global market now, it's at another level. They would even come and rate the air quality in your building. We are working on one of our projects with AMA Architects. They're big. They did the first green grade 7-star rated building, grade 6, grade 7, the highest grade this country has ever been produced. Now, when you get to that level, they would have measured even the air quality. A typical South African startup company, like most of us would be, or a company that is scaling up, they are far from reaching such kind of heights. But at the basic level, I think we have the responsibility to consider green standards in the most basic ways. Like I said, orientation of the building. It could be just your light fittings, for instance. Your heat water, the biggest consumer of electricity is how you heat your water. 70% of your electricity is consumed by your geysers. In all our buildings, we don't use geysers. Like none. You won't find any of our buildings. Even in my own home right now, I use heat pumps. I use solar geysers. So it's not such a difficult thing to achieve, but there might still be limitations. To buy fluorescent lights, they might cost 20 rands more, 30 rands more, but it's a conscious one needs to put when they're making their buildings to say, hey, can I be conscious to a little more friendly to the environment. However, a little more expensive. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was very informative, Mr. Matamen.
Yes.
So yeah, group activity. I hope you were taking notes in there. This is what we're looking for. So basically, you look at it from your design point of view, the cost implications. But as Mr. Matamele said, not everything is about installing expensive gadgets like your solar panels and whatever, but it's more having a proper conversations with your architect and making sure that the rooms that are supposed to be north facing are actually north facing to try and reduce I think when you actually do your consumption of the electricity for your heaters or any other fuel that you use. But basically, we need to think, have a global view of what is the impact of this green thing as
we no longer hear you, Numisa.
Here in South Africa as a whole. To that, hello.
We can hear you now. Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes. Now you.
Okay. You can hear me now. So those are some of the points that you take into consideration, and I think what will also make activities. So you go out, you have your group, you look at this thing, and probably just set up a 10 or 15-minute session to actually discuss with your group members. And I think that's what will make this very rich, your responses on this exercise. And also, that's how you're going to learn after you've done your research and you discuss among yourself as a group members in completing this group activity. I will not go through all these thingy, but what happens is that you just go through the various articles. So article number 2, property barometer, returning to the pre-Broom era. So you go through that, and we look at the different what is happening in South Africa in relation to that. And then this one is about talking about trouble times for estate agents. What does that mean? How is it influencing the main issue that's coming up is the National Credit Act. What is the impact on real estate in our country? The fourth one is about estate living on the rise. What does that mean? One of the major issues, as I said earlier, is a response to the escalating crime in South Africa. So what is happening? Do we have enough estates to actually try and deal with the challenge that we face of crime in the country? So how is that affecting the entire or the general real estate market in South Africa? And then here we come again, the coastal development to be restricted. It goes back to our, the Coastal Management Act. So what we will do, we'll also share with you the Coastal Management Act, a summary of the Coastal Management Act, and I think it will actually assist in you tackling this particular exercise. And then women's buyers on the market. So with the setting in of BE empowerment, more women are able, firstly, is that now married women have, can enter into contracts. In the past, they were treated like minors. They needed only the husbands could enter into any legal binding legal binding agreements. What does that mean? And also, women are reaching, the executive management level, so they're making money better than it was in the past. So what does that mean? More women are buying property, and and what does that mean for the real estate environment in South Africa? Land bill has wide implications. What does the land bill means? So we need to interrogate this. What are the perceptions? What are the sentiments that the land expropriation bill has on people? How is it affecting the real estate property market? Exactly which land will be expropriated? Which sector of the real estate market will be whatever, because there was an issue that, residential property will not be affected with this, but it's still a continuing debate. So what does this mean and how is it supposed to affect or have an impact on real estate? So that is that exercise. And then the next exercise, what we will do is that as we will be allocating the groups, we will also try to make sure that people tackle different topics. So the exercise says, with your partner, select 3 areas below that could have a possible effect on real estate companies and practices. Prepare a short explanation on how these factors will affect real estate. So, requirements for BE partnership, the Land Claims Reform Bill, the Urban Development Zones and CBD Makeover Initiative, the mass housing contracts by government, the Green Building Council as well, the proposed Gautrain and power cuts, the interest rate hikes, the mass development of new shopping malls, increase in estate living. So each group will select one of these areas and interrogate them further, and then understand what is the impact of these phenomena that are currently in our environment and how they're going to have an impact on the real estate. So you'll just have to communicate. We will communicate to us which areas. So you'll just have to select 3. So not all of these topics you need to cover, but just select 3 and just prepare write-up for this particular activity. Any comments or questions? Okay. All right. And then, all right.
These activities, they're going to be uploaded on the LMS, right?
Yes. Yes, they will be.
This whole slideshow has already been uploaded on the LMS. Can I ask maybe, Nomisa, before we move on to any further, if there's any time we can actually stop here, is that I want you to between now and tomorrow, to try to connect to the LMS and see if you manage to get and that you can see the slide. Mr. Munase, our webpage designer and also the designer of the LMS, will be first to talk tomorrow evening to make sure that we can all connect to the LMS and that you can get all the information there that you need.
All right, because as I'm speaking to you now, I am connected on the LMS. I'm on the platform, and under my modules, I can only see the previous course I did, the introduction to the real estate, and I do not see this current one.
Okay, we will talk just after this. I'll talk to Mr. Manasseh that I can check and see. It is, they've uploaded it already on Friday, I think, so Thursday or Friday. But we'll double check on it.
Thank you.
And I think what we can do tomorrow is, hello, can you hear me?
Mr. Manasseh?
Yeah,
Mr. Manasseh is here.
Yes. So I just want to find out to the guy who was just talking now, did you receive a username and password and a confirmation that you are registered for real estate?
Not yet. No, not yet.
That means I will talk to our administrator. She hasn't registered you yet. So only after being registered, you will receive a message which says, "Welcome, student name and surname. You've been registered to real estate level 4, blah 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 blah." Yeah. So you'll get registered immediately after here, and then you'll receive that SMS, and you can log in and see the current course.
Oh, all right. Okay. Thank you.
Right. Thanks.
Okay. I think that applies to everyone else who is with us today. Please just go and check what does your LMS say, and if you register, because the first credentials that you received, it was for the free course, but the information now that relates to this full-time, this 6-month course is slightly different. So you will need to get different credentials, as Mr. Manasseh has just said. So just check at least before we resume classes tomorrow. Just make sure that you are on the correct platform of LMS.
Sorry, Numisa, not necessarily new credentials, but a new SMS saying that they've been registered for real estate. Once they get that SMS, they'll have access to the system, same with using the same username and password.
Okay. Yes. All right. No, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you for that. And then our last section that we're gonna deal with is just talking about the impact of crime, and then this is the last activity that we're looking at. This one is an individual activity, so just make sure that you can see your group activity you submit as a group, individual activity you will submit as an individual. So just make sure you've got that correct. And this one is more like a report on an analysis that was done and the various reasons for. So there was a survey that was conducted, and these are the results of the survey. And you will need to answer those questions. What are the 3 primary reasons provided why people sell? And what are the most and least significant reasons provided for Gauteng compared to the coastal region? So it's basically you analyzing the data that has been provided to you. And okay, the correct name is semigration. When you move from one region of South Africa to another region of South Africa, as is said in here. In addition, there is anecdotal evidence of a rise in prominence of so-called semigration, that is the relocation to another region of South Africa, and the high crime of especially Gauteng, and to a lesser extent other major metros, is believed to be playing a role. Although there are many other reasons for semigration, most notably normal career opportunities. But yeah, this is our last slide for any comments, any questions on what we covered today?
Hi, Nisa. I just need to find out on the information of or profiling the area for your sale. I need to find out, is that the information because you only collect for yourself in order to efficiently manage your sale, or is that the information that you are obliged to share with the potential client?
Hello, I'm gone.
Hello.
Hello.
Can
Hear me?
Gee, I'm gone.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear
Hello?
you. Did you hear my question?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you, yeah.
Yes, Nomisa?
Yes. You're saying, is it the information? You are asking if this information that you are obliged to share with the client.
Yes.
Is that your question?
Yeah, my question is that my area profile for the property, am I obliged to share it with the client, or that's what I need to find out, or is it just for me to help me carry out my planning?
Some of the information you will be obliged to share with the client, but one thing that you do not have to share with the client, because it's a legal thing, it is the boundaries of a property, because that is part of the land surveyor. But also there, we will show you exactly how to look into it as an estate agent's point of view, and what you can share and what you don't have to share.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So when we actually go deep into the code of conduct, that is going to be highlighted in detail what kind of information as an estate agent you are expected, to share with the client. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Any more questions? Any more questions? Okay. Rina, you wanted to say something?
Now, I also just want to say, if there's anybody that wants to add something, please feel free. And Patricia, don't be shy. You're also welcome. Salma's also there. So please share some information. Or how can we maybe better tomorrow? You did well.
Yeah. I think it was the first day. People are warming up, but we'll meet again tomorrow at exactly the same time. But just make sure you between now and tomorrow at 4:30, you have received the confirmation, as Mr. Munasi has said, because our class tomorrow will start with interacting with LMS, and it would be very useful that you actually interrogate your LMS, as Mr. Munasi is showing you. I think that's the best way you can learn a system.
Yeah, and I think everyone has got my WhatsApp number as well. They are most welcome to WhatsApp me or Masego, who's our administrator. Any one of us, it's fine.
Okay. All right, Mr. Matamela, would you like to probably put some closing remarks?
Thank you, Munisa. This has been really remarkable. If I grew up in these days, I probably would have been diagnosed with ADD. My concentration span is very short, but for some reason, I didn't even realize that it has been 3 hours. It has been very interactive. I learned a lot myself. I enjoyed sharing with everyone else, hearing from all our colleagues. Once again, this is the first day. We can only get better from here. I know there are a few people who would have wanted to come and join today, so tomorrow we might be even more. And to that, bravo, congratulations to Rina and her team. They have been working very hard in putting this together. And congratulations to everyone who managed to make it to our debut course. And I'm saying, let's do this, guys. Let's do this thing. Maybe before I could let everyone go, I should mention this to say the Bemore Institution is powered by MUMA. So in other words, the course modules or the learning outcome are all registered under MUMA Investments. So just in case when you go and Google the course content or you check Bemore Institution, the guys who receive the accreditation to render these educational certificates is MUMA Investments. And as such, until we have transferred that information or that registration to Bemore Institution, we will continue with this as almost like a sponsored activity. So with that being said, thank you very much, Nomisa. Splendid, splendid, splendid presentation. Very engaging. And you could also get some of the people like myself glued up on this thing. So if you can allow me just to ask everyone to appreciate you as the presenter and your team with a big hand of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We wouldn't have been here without you. So yeah, I really appreciate you as well. All of you, our learners, the team, the bigger team outside of the real estate team, but just working together in this thing. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good night, and we will meet again on this platform at 5 o'clock sharp tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. Good night. Bye.
Good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.